Welcome to Cafe Latino. As every month, I invite amazing people. Today is no exception. I invite two wonderful people that will help you as a parent and will help you as a student. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Thank you.
Fine, thank you. Marta, welcome to Cafe Latino.
Thank you.
And I cannot pronounce your name. Can you repeat your name?
Sure, it's Khaseem.
Khaseem,
Yes.
welcome. Thank you for being here today.
No problem.
So, I have two sons. One is now 25, who went to Fairfax County Public School, and an 18-year-old. And during this time, I've seen how the kids they cannot just go to school and come home. They need other resources. So today I invite you to share with the community about the resources that you can provide. So Marta, before we begin, I'd like the people know a little about you. Can you tell us a little about you?
Sure. I was an English teacher, a high school English teacher, and I taught special education and eventually moved into alternative education because those were kind of my people. I figured out that I always wanted to work with. I actually left for a while and stayed home with my kids for about 20 years and then came back in, and now I am running all of the mentoring programs for Fairfax County Public Schools.
Wonderful. And you, Khaseem?
Sure. So, name is Khaseem Davis. I'm originally from New York City. I'm a first-generation college student. Went to school in University of Buffalo, upstate New York. My work primarily has been with nonprofits and working with under-resourced youth and under-resourced communities. And so I'm currently at George Mason University as the director of the Early Identification Program. Prior to coming to George Mason University, I was at Northern Virginia Community College, their Manassas campus, running, and I oversaw their student success efforts for that particular campus.
That's wonderful. Marta, how do you see what are the needs that the students have that you can provide resources for?
So we provide caring adult mentors for students who just need a couple things: an adult to talk to, just someone to have an adult conversation with. Many of our parents work long hours, they have long commutes, and we find that our students need support and guidance and just that adult time. In elementary school, it's just learning how to talk with adults and have adults asking you questions that adults ask. And then as we move into middle and high school, it might be resourcing, figuring out goal setting, how to move to the next level, having the background knowledge to navigate college or career choices or career skills, and keeping them focused on goals.
So your program is not based in helping like if I know a lot about math, it will be no helping to do homework.
No,
Just
it's
to
not
clarify.
tutoring.
It's not tutoring.
No, and
it's a big
tutoring-
difference because sometimes the people can confuse between mentoring and tutoring. Yeah.
In fact, we try not to have our mentors tutor because tutoring usually means you might be struggling in the subject for a student and it's hard for you.
Yeah.
And so we try to keep that relationship between the mentor and the mentee positive and not a place where there's struggle. We try to keep it as a place where they feel lifted up and strong and capable.
When the people, so the mentor will have the opportunity to spend certain time with the student and maybe more like a listener, no? Like somebody who
Yes.
listens. And so can you tell a little more about the process?
So we always say they are an adult friend, a guide, and a
guide.
role model.
Okay.
And they listen, and we like to teach them to, our mentors are trained to teach kids to advocate on their own, to not
Okay.
do things for the student, but to help the student learn to walk the path by saying, well, what would you Google to find that? Let's try it. What would you search? What would you do? You know, and teach them how to resource on their own.
So in the case of the mentor will spend time inside school or outside the school? Can you tell us?
So our all of our mentoring starts on school grounds during the school day. We ask for 30 minutes once a week. If you're meeting with an elementary school student, probably during lunch. Middle school and high school is usually during the remediation period that's built into the day. Middle schoolers don't really want to eat lunch with grown-ups, so we typically do that during a different time. There's some flexibility for after school and before school, and you kind of work that out in the building. There's a mentoring coordinator who helps pair you with a mentee and match you and supports that relationship.
Okay. So every mentor if somebody is interested to be a mentor, the mentor will be able to be a mentor for more than one student? Let's say 10, 5, I don't know.
No, I mean, we always say start with one.
Uh-huh.
And because the time commitment sometimes gets more. I mean, sometimes you meet with them more than once a week. You can get into mentoring relationships that are lifelong, and they last a lifetime. And typically you would pick your age group that you want to start with, and I can help guide them through that process. So they might, then you continue to move up with them. So we say start with one and see how it works, learn it, and then if you're finding you have more time, I promise you the school can find you another one. We have a wait list. We have schools that have wait lists of 30 kids that need adult mentors.
So every school is, your program applies to every school in Fairfax County?
Pretty much all of our schools have some sort of mentoring. We use staff mentors. We have staff members who also mentor students. So not all of our schools have community-based mentors in them, but that doesn't mean you can't go there. You might be the first for that school. We always say that geography becomes very important when we're placing a mentor. You might not be able to mentor at the school where your kids go because you live in Reston but you work in Annandale. And since you have to go during the school day, if you contacted me, I would say, how can you leave your workplace? I need to put you near your workplace so you can pop out for half an hour, 45 minutes, and go meet with your student.
So if people are interested that are watching our program, what kind of characteristics or what kind of profile should have the mentor?
So I always say, if you're leading an adult life, even if you're 23, 24, you have gained skills and background knowledge that someone who's still in public school does not have. So if you are someone that wants to give back, if you're someone that likes kids, if you're someone that just wants to connect and help someone grow and lead, if you have a little buried teacher in you that you never got to be one, or a parent, if you're an empty nester and it's time, we can always find a good match for you.
Perfect. I will go back to you. Let's go, Khaseem. Khaseem, we've talked briefly about your program. Can you tell us a specific, what would you like to share with the community?
Sure. The Early Identification Program is George Mason University's College Access Program. We work with students who will be the first in their families to attend college.
So it's focusing the first in the families to go to college?
Yes.
Okay. So that would be people that very good for people that is like an immigrant community that usually they have that. So many of them, they have that need. Okay.
Yes. In fact, a significant portion of our students are actually first-time Americans as well. And so new to the country. And this is where that parental advocacy piece comes into play, because oftentimes families are coming to the U.S. and they don't necessarily know or understand how to navigate the educational system. And so one of the programs that we provide, which is called Strengthening the Family.
But how is it called?
It's called Strengthening the Family.
It's training?
Strengthening the Family.
Strengthening the family. Like, be strong.
Exactly.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, so the acronym is STF.
Okay.
And this particular program works with both students and their parents and teaches them how to navigate and really advocate as it pertains to their students' experiences in middle school and high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you meet with the parents, you have session with parents?
Yes.
How often do you meet?
We probably meet with parents multiple times throughout the academic year. I'd probably say no more than 2 or 3 times. So in the beginning of the year, we have our parent meetings. And these parent meetings, families come from all over different counties that we work with, and we pretty much go through the actual calendar, the different events that we're going to offer. We remind them of the requirements in order for their students to remain in good standing. And then when we get into the summer, or right before the summer, we have our Summer Academy.
Okay.
The Summer Academy is a 3-week academic enrichment program. Students come to George Mason University, and they take courses they're going to be enrolled in September, so when they go back to school. And so when they come for those parent meetings, they're actually learning what their students are going to be experiencing during the Summer Academy. So this way, the goal is to really inform parents, but also open up the university to parents as well.
Okay,
so some of the programming that we do, we actually bring families to campus, so they get to go on a tour, they get to see the lecture halls, the classrooms that their students will be experiencing at the point that they transition into a post-secondary institution.
So I have a few questions for you.
Sure.
All this, sometimes the immigrant community can be from Africa. You know, there's a lot of people from Africa, a lot of people from Latin America, India, China, etc.
Right.
I think in Fairfax County we have more 63
It's extremely diverse.
Very diverse. Very
Over 200 languages.
200
spoken.
languages, imagine.
And dialects.
Yeah. Do you have people who speak another languages, just in the tools and
Yes,
stuff like
and
that?
so one of the things that we try to do is we try to make sure that our core staff is diverse.
Okay.
Right? Now, 60% of our students, especially 60% of our students from Fairfax County Public Schools, identify as Latino. So what we
60%.
60%. So what we try to do is we make sure that we have folks in the office who are able to communicate in Spanish. So this way, when parents are calling, when families are calling, we have somebody that can communicate in their native language.
That's incredible. So how you select these parents? Do you go to the schools to promote this program? How this happen?
Right. And so each county has a county liaison, right?
Okay.
So we call them a county coordinator.
Okay.
And that person liaises between George Mason University and the public schools.
Oh, okay.
And so what'll happen is when it's time to nominate students,
Okay.
this county coordinator will work with the middle schools and to help them identify students that'll be a best fit for the program.
Also had to be students that are in 10th grade?
Students have to be in the 7th grade.
7th grade, sorry.
Right. So they're identified in the 7th grade. They apply for the program in the 7th grade.
7th grade.
And they're admitted and they start in the 8th grade. And then they're with us from grade 8 up into grade 12.
Oh, so the students apply in 7th grade and they will begin in 8th grade and they stay with you for a few years.
A few years, yeah.
And then you help them to go to community college or to George Mason? How does it work?
So the goal is to get them into college.
In college,
right?
okay, yeah.
And so, however, if they successfully complete the program, then they're automatically admitted into George Mason University.
Wow.
But it doesn't mean that they are required to go to George Mason University. So a lot of times we'll have students, a good amount of students will say, you know what, we've been with you guys since the 8th grade, we love you, you're the EIP family, so they'll decide to come to George Mason University.
Yes.
However, you may have some students who don't meet the GPA requirements, so they'll
Okay.
start out at Northern Virginia Community College, or they realize George Mason University, it's a really big institution. I want to experience something a little bit smaller, more intimate, so they'll decide to go to Nova or a smaller institution.
So this go back to two things. So what the students that are in 7th grade, what will be the profile, what is the profile of the student to apply, just to apply?
Sure. So first, they have to be the first in their family to go to college.
First, okay.
Right? They also have to have academic potential. So we want to see that students are doing well academically. So usually students who are B students, A students, and I like to say we'll never turn away a C student or a D student as long as they're putting in effort, right? And they're able to demonstrate that in their essay when they actually are applying to the program.
So they have to apply, so they have to have an average of 3.0 GPA?
I would say usually a B student, so it would be a 3.0.
Around B, or 2.8, something
But
like
one
that.
of the things that I like to tell families is that doesn't exclude. So if your student doesn't meet that B criteria, it doesn't exclude them from the program or applying to the program because they also have to submit a writing portion or a writing sample.
Yeah, I understand.
And they have to secure several recommendations in order to be eligible for the program.
Okay, so there's a lot of potential there. How many students do you accept
Annually?
annually?
So our annual cohorts are probably about 155 altogether. And so from Fairfax County, we usually admit about 60 students per year from Fairfax County alone.
60 students. So how many applications do you receive for Fairfax? You have to receive around 300. I
Yeah,
can
we usually
imagine.
receive around 300 applications.
60 students that will be the lucky ones to continue. So one of the things I always think, because I have a foundation to help Latinas, and it was an after-school program, it was so hard to keeping these girls to come back in the afternoon, so stay after school. It's just, it was extremely hard. These Latinas, they may born in the United States or they just arrived. They have a struggle because they have commitments with the family. You know? Some of them, they have to go back to take care of his brother,
Or they work.
sister, or they work. So I think this is one of the things I learned in this process, that we think that every student is an average. No, the students have so many different things.
Absolutely.
They can have to go back to work, have to go babysit their brothers and sisters. But one of the things I learned is that many of them really have a big potential. You know, they may not show in the potential, but it's good that you at least give the opportunity. So if they show a good essay, letters of recommendation, neither way they don't have a very excellent B. It's good that you accepted them.
Absolutely.
That's very good.
And that's where that mentoring piece comes into play as
Okay.
well.
You have also a mentor
We also
program.
have mentors as well, because mentors will be able to help those students and really help them to realize and actualize their potential.
Yes.
So the mentor component is huge.
The mentor is important. This is why you have so much in common. This is why when I met you, it's like, my God, this is perfect for my program. So mentoring program definitely is so important. I saw when I did this, I used to have a mentoring program when I have a foundation, and many of these parents don't have other. The first generation, they don't have anybody that have went college. And the process in the United States to apply for college is very difficult.
Right.
My first son was more independent, so kind of he did it himself. But the second one, I have almost to do with him all the time to be sure that he applies and all the resources all the things that they require to apply to college is really difficult. I like the part of the parenting program. Do you really have a good? Sometimes the Latino parents have a struggle to go to meet, because maybe the two parents work. I know generalize all the Latinos, but many of them they have to have two jobs, so and then they cannot meet. Have you have success with the meeting?
We do. We do, in part because we try to meet families where they're at. So our strengthening the family workshops in particular, they actually take place at the base school. So they don't really have to travel super far.
That's great.
Not only that, we say, look, bring everybody.
Oh
right?
yeah, that
And
big have to bring the brothers, sisters.
So they can bring their siblings, they can bring their children. So everybody's there and everybody's present, and they're able to engage and connect and receive the information that we're providing.
I think that is very, very important. And the people that are watching us, we have to. I believe that the student is successful not only because they're born with the genes. I always say that, no? It's because the parents and the teachers, we all to work together and the community, So to bring a successful student to finish college and just to go to college they need a lot of people around them.
Yeah.
So Marta, I wanted to just for the people that are watching us. So you're looking for professionals here in Northern Virginia. There's so many companies. Can you tell us about it? You have a program, for example. If I know somebody who works in a company and the company would like to, sometimes the companies want to offer something to the people who works in the company. Do you have anything for them?
We do. So first of all, Laura is one of our brand new mentors.
Oh, yeah.
And she's just about to meet her mentee at South Lakes High School. And so you've been through the training and
Absolutely.
the process.
And I love it.
and it's honestly, and if you're an adult and you're not working, we would love to have you. So if you speak Spanish, oh my gosh, I hear angels singing when I find mentors who speak Spanish because they're a good commodity. But yes, we will work with businesses and set them up through business partnerships. And we have an Ignite level partnership where if your business provides 10 mentors throughout the county, anywhere throughout the county, you are an Ignite level partner. There's a nice stuff that comes with that. You get a digital badge and you can use Fairfax County facilities at a discounted rate. If you have a business that would like to partner with us, and even if you want to provide 1 or 2 mentors, we'll be happy with that. You just go on to the Fairfax County public website, search Mentor a Student, and everything on my webpage will lead you toward business practices, and my contact information's on there, and I can walk you through that process. It's a great way to connect with the greater community. So many of our businesses have schools that are right around the corner, and they can actually see them from the parking lot, and you can walk across the parking lot, mentor a student. You have to eat lunch anyway. You might as well eat with a mentee.
Yes. Something that I learned during the class, you did a beautiful class, was the fact that some of these students struggle with sometimes they didn't take breakfast, because, maybe the mom, the dad didn't, sometimes they struggle or they just came back from work. Some of them work on the nights, And so one of the things I learned, like, when you help a student, you have to be very careful how you deal with these situations. So I think that the opportunity, I think when you do mentoring, you help the students, but I think you grow yourself because you learn also different ways. Because as a mother or two, it's very hard for the parents to communicate with students. And I don't think it's technology the issue. For one time I thought, pass on my mind because the technology now is so advanced. The students are all the time in the phone. But I go back and I remember my first son, and he didn't have iPhone. He didn't have so much technology, and still it was hard for me to communicate.
I think an adult mentor can tell them things. The
Yes.
parent could be saying the same thing, and I always call it mom mute, where I start talking and I swear my kid hears,
Yeah.
But when you talk to a mentee, they're tuned in and they hear that advice and that guidance and that, that information differently. It's just so
Yeah.
powerful to have an adult in the community to talk to.
Yeah.
It's one of the 5 protective assets that we know kids need to have to succeed.
Absolutely.
Is an adult in the community. Be connected to the greater community beyond your parents
Yeah.
and their goals and dreams.
Can you tell us a success story? I love when the people have some kind of success story that I don't have to mention the name, but I would like to hear about the success story.
I have a few. There's one young lady who came to the country, and she fled her country. She fled Honduras. There was some violence there, and she ended up coming to the United States. When she came as a child, and she didn't even realize that she was undocumented. And so she ended up, when it was time to go to college, realizing that she had all of these obstacles and all of these barriers.
Yes.
And she ended up having an adult mentor who ended up becoming like this just wonderful person, right? Who really was kind of like her guardian angel.
Yes.
And she went through George Mason University. She did extremely well. And her goal was to become an immigration lawyer.
Yeah.
And so she ended up getting citizenship in the United States, and then she went on to graduate from law school, and now she's practicing law.
Oh, amazing story.
And so she came back to the program. So
Why
one of the things about our program is we like for our alumni to give back. And so she
Yes.
actually came in and she spoke with our students during the summer academy opening
How
ceremony.
beautiful.
And it was, you had a handful of students that just rushed her, and because they understood and they were able to relate to her experience. There's a gentleman who his family, they actually fled. I want to say it was either Laos or Cambodia, and they came to the United States, and he was in the school systems, and he ended up getting involved in gangs.
Oh.
And so he learned about the program. Somebody said, "Hey, if you want, I can nominate you to the
Yes.
program." And he said, "Sure." And he ended up coming into the program, and he credits the program with pretty much saving his life. And so he came to George Mason University on a full tuition scholarship, as well as the young lady that I just mentioned. Completed George Mason,
Incredible.
and then went on to get his PhD in chemistry, and now he's a software engineer.
It's amazing. Well, we're coming almost at the final of the program. I always like this get long day. We can finish it, but we just have a couple of more minutes. And for closing remarks, I would like each of you give us a few seconds and tell us, what is the next step and recommendation, anything that you would like to say to the community.
Sure. And so if families are interested in having their students be involved or nominated, they can actually meet or connect with a school counselor at their base school.
Okay.
And from there, they can ask for their school counselor to nominate their child to be part of the program. And then from there, the application process will begin. If they have any specific questions, they can always contact our office as well.
Can you say your webpage?
Absolutely. Our website is eip.gmu.edu.
Perfect. And we will put it in the comments in our when we put it in our Facebook page. Yeah.
So I would say if you're interested in becoming a mentor, find me on the website, the Fairfax County Public Schools public website. I know the biggest barrier is people thinking they're not going to have time to do it.
Yes.
And I will tell you, sometimes I'm driving to a mentee and I'm like, oh, I don't have time for this today. Oh my gosh, I'm like, and every time I walk in that building, it feeds my soul and it fills my heart.
You're right.
And the time flies,
Yes.
and I'm so grateful when I put my head on my pillow at night that I took the time to do that in my busy day. And you always find the time. It's amazing how it works. So just contact me. I will walk you through the process. I'll guide you through. I know Laura's been through it, and I take you through the whole thing and place you, and it's very easy and very powerful experience.
So, well, thank you very much for coming. It was a pleasure to
Thank
have
you.
you, Martha.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything. And well, we are arriving to the final of the Café Latino, just taking a cup of coffee with me. And I have an angel today because today we have two angels that will help you as a student and you as a parent to be to do a step and help a student in Fairfax County Public Schools. As every month, this is the final, and I will see you next month, and I will invite wonderful people as well. Thank you very much.